Hey nerds, we're going to be doing a review and spoiler breakdown and discussion of Wonka. It's based on the characters created by Roald Dahl. It's starring Timothee Chalamet with Rowan Atkinson, Keegan Michael-Key, Olivia Colman, and Hugh Grant. The screenplay is by Simon Farnaby and Paul King. Story is by Paul King and is directed by Paul King. Starting now. Welcome to the Nerd Social. I am Colin. Well, as you can see, I'm going to be the one that's going to be doing a solo review of Wonka. And so the spoiler-free logline of Wonka is that with dreams opening a shop in a city renowned for its chocolate, a young and poor Willy Wonka discovers that the industry is run by a cartel of greedy chocolatiers. So I think that for this movie, this is now we've seen we've seen this is now the third iteration of Willy Wonka that's been introduced to pop culture. The original one was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, really made famous by Gene Wilder. And also a lot of kind of like memes that are all around the internet, as well as some really interesting life lessons and performances. Definitely a very, very great movie. It's based on the Roald Dahl book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Then we had the mid 2000s Charlie and Chocolate Factory that was starring Johnny Depp. I didn't see that one. I actually tried to avoid that one because I loved the original very much. So I actually did not see that one before. And so this one, Wonka, is basically a new version, which is kind of like a prequel to the original story that we all know and love. And so for this one, it's starring Timothée Chalamet. So Timothée Chalamet has been all around the internet a lot. You've seen him also in a lot of number of movies, including in Dune, which was released in 2021, and Dune Part Two will be coming out in I think late February 2024. So he kind of leads the cast. There's some interesting supporting actors as well that you will see, as well as a young actor. Her name is Calah Lane, who plays Noodle. So there's some really interesting characters, and also some characters that you probably are familiar with, like Keegan Michael-Key, who plays the police chief. You have Olivia Colman, who plays Mrs. Scrubbit. And so she was, you have seen her in Secret Invasion, if you've seen the Marvel show, and as well as some other characters like Rowan Atkinson, who is very famous for Mr. Bean. So you see those characters here and there. It's a very enjoyable, overall, very enjoyable experience. Definitely bring the family with you because I think that it's definitely worthwhile for a lot of kids to kind of see it. A lot of magical things happening, a lot of color, really great visuals, really good dance numbers. The music is really really good. Kind of holds up to the musical from the original. So in a lot of ways, it's still a lot of fun, and it's to pay respects to the old source material, but at the same time, it's really is a lot of fun and a really interesting story throughout. Kind of kept you kind of engaged throughout the movie, and even with all the fanfare and all the theatrics that is involved with it. So I would say that overall, in terms of a rating, I would give it an 8 out of 10, which is basically a road trip. So basically a film that's so good that it's worth a road trip with friends to the theaters to enjoy. So I think that's definitely worth it. And this review is going to be coming out on Friday when it's released. So go ahead, watch it. And bring the family, enjoy. It's a good holiday, solid holiday movie with the kids. So please just go out there and enjoy it. And but then afterwards, come back and do this review because I'm going to be spoiling the heck out of this review here of Wonka. So, if you like our conversation so far, if you like what I have to say, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us in the algorithm. Really helps us to gain more followers and more subscribers. So please do that, and as go along. So, without further ado, I'm going to get into spoilers. I think that I forgot to put on the spoiler tag. So spoilers ahead. So I'm going to give you 2 seconds to kind of get yourself together so you can avoid this conversation and get as I go into spoilers. Okay, so you've been warned. So we're going to get into it a little bit. So it starts out as a very good musical number. So you can it come you know he Willy Wonka comes out of a boat, and so you kind of get a little bit of his flashback story, living in the jungle with his mother, and just kind of like seeing how he has a lot of dreams in the world. He's almost like in some ways like a very young entrepreneur trying to make it in life. But he has a lot of great ideas and great secrets. So he has a lot of advantages built to him that he's able to kind of leverage in order to kind of get a leg up on the competition and such. And so, it's a very nice dance number at the beginning where he's saying that he has 12. I forgot what the sovereigns, 12 sovereigns, and then he kind of runs out as he moves along. And so he's kind of like dirt poor at the very end of this dance number. And so he is then basically trying to be in a position where he is trying to again make money based on his creations and things like that. So it's a very interesting kind of dance number, and overall really good. And we get to see Noodle as well, kind of like in the background, kind of a preview, a foreshadowing of her and in a bigger role as well. And as you can see, this is one of the three adversaries of Willy Wonka. So Slugworth here is being shown, and he is portrayed by Paterson Joseph. Don't really know who he is, so I'm not really sure as in terms of like what other movies he's been in. He seems really familiar, kind of like a character actor. He's definitely the big bad of the movie, and we know from the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Slugworth's name was mentioned in it, so it was very, very interesting kind of see that regard. And he's kind of like surrounded by two other kind of like minions of his, Prodnose and Fickelgruber, who is kind of like his other part of that chocolatier cartel. And so they're basically been trying to water down the whole chocolate and trying to get it kind of like grab the whole market share of chocolate, while Willy Wonka is kind of like the new kid in town, the new chocolatier in town. He's trying to kind of try and kind of cut into their business. So they feel very threatened by it, and so there's this whole scheme of them trying to protect their chocolate cartel by buying off the police chief and also other and also kind of like getting a grip on the town in the terms of the chocolate. And so this is a picture of Prodnose, and he kind of like takes things very literally and tries to kind of spill the beans on their dastardly plans and things like that. So he's a really fascinating kind of character, a snivelly type of character as well. I don't have a picture of Fickelgruber, but you probably can find it online somewhere if you Google it. And so Wonka then kind of encounters this tall, greasy looking man who's kind of like a salesman, and he introduces him to this housing, this kind of like hotel housing, who's run by Mrs. Scrubbit, played by Olivia Colman. And so, these two characters are definitely kind of like swindlers in some ways, and we get to find out that they've been swindling people of money and trying to kind of incur them with a lot of debt, so that they have to kind of basically be indentured servants in some ways. And so there's a lot of that kind of indentured servitude that's happening. And so Wonka kind of falls in the trap. Even though he reads the fine print, he gets kind of fell into this trap of being in this indefinite servitude under Mrs. Scrubbit. And so there's a nice musical number, scrub number that was pretty catchy, pretty cool overall. And of course Wonka kind of schemes up some ideas in order to try to escape from the grips of Mrs. Scrubbit. Trying to scheme with Noodle to try to make sure that he gets to be away so that he can start his entrepreneurship idea of making chocolate. And so, kind of a couple of dance numbers, and so he's kind of was able to magically try to create, at first trying to go through the sewer system to try to do his entrepreneurship, and everyone kind of like through word of mouth been kind of like, wow, this Wonka chocolate, this Wonka candy is kind of really amazing. And so he was doing it. This scene is actually, I think, from the first musical number, but he gets to kind of get to a point where he's able to get to be a very popular figure in the chocolate business, kind of like underground chocolate in some ways. And then to a point also where he was able to find a space where he's able to build this kind of like kind of his chocolate factory 1.0 in some ways. But unfortunately, the cartel got a wind of it and was able to basically tear it down. In being in cahoots with Mrs. Scrubbit, was able to kind of thwart his plans of having this amazing chocolate store. It was kind of like a combination of like FAO Schwartz and like an M&M's factory or something like that. So it was really cool visuals, really cool, awesome things. Very similar to what you see in the original movie, in the Chocolate Factory, with all the magical what's it nots and all this type of other things. So Noodle plays a really big role actually in this movie, much more so than I thought. And so we kind of got to get to see her origin story and kind of her secret kind of like family line in some ways. So it's really amazing to kind of be able to have the cast is very inclusive. So it's very amazing to kind of have her being in a very inclusive role, but also a very I wouldn't want to say a very ingenious role, but at the same time, trying to have her be part of the story, I think is really cool. Trying to grab kind of younger fans. Definitely not like Charlie Bucket from the original movie. It's not like that. It's pretty much a very new, fresh character in some ways, and but also it's kind of like a little bit of Annie, a little bit of orphan syndrome, as Wonka called it before. So it's kind of like you get those get those kind of tropes of orphans, Annie, Oliver Twist, all that type of stuff. So you get that feel, you get that vibe, but at the same time, I think it's still very effective overall. And I think that, weaving her into the main story really helped her, and helps also kind of humanize Wonka in a lot of ways, and also kind of brings Wonka into kind of like a better perspective of him not being that kind of dastardly CEO. And, he's not. I mean, he definitely has a lot of heart in him, even though, he does portray as a kind of eccentric individual when he grew up. I think that this kind of humbled him, having her involved, and also having the rest of his mates involved in the chocolate business at first kind of really humbled him in a lot of ways. So Keegan Michael-Key was played the police chief, so he's the one that really loves chocolate. So it's kind of like a gag in a lot of ways that he becomes very round as he gets corrupted by the chocolatiers trying to feed him chocolate in order for him to stop Wonka from being who he is. So very interesting kind of play here. It kind of gets a few laughs here and there. So it's really interesting overall to kind of see him in a very comedic role. It did take me a little bit off, kind of threw me off, because he was trying to do an accent and then he wasn't trying to do an accent, but overall I think he's still pretty solid. And he's a comedian, so it's like a really good role for him to kind of do something else besides what he's known for before. Hugh Grant was really awesome in this movie. Really got a lot of laughs and a lot of kind of like, oh, I'm smarter than you type of thing going with Wonka. And I think that he did play a very good role, and also his number, his singing number was really cool as well. I think that he got a little bit of good balance between kind of like the silliness as well as kind of like a seriousness to him, and trying to kind of teach or guide Wonka along the way, even though it is for his kind of like selfish reasons as to why he is. So it's kind of like Hugh Grant has been very famous for playing all these like kind of like selfish type of roles before in the past, with a little bit of twist and comedy along with it. So it really fits him to be Oompa Loompa in this iteration of the movie. Rowan Atkinson was also really awesome. This is a scene where he was being chased by the giraffe, and earlier it was established that this giraffe named Abigail was Wonka and Noodle was able to escape to the zoo to try to milk the giraffe, and they established a relationship. And this is near the end of the movie where they're trying to thwart the cartel and trying to kind of smash the cartel from kind of like taking a grip. And so here, Wonka and his team, was trying to hatch a scheme to try to get into the vault, to try to steal the ledger, because there was a ledger that was in the movie where it was where it proved that they were running this cartel and really cheating the customers out of good chocolate. And so there's this kind of gag where Rowan Atkinson was kind of like the head of this, kind of like the security guard of this cartel with his 500 monks and stuff like that. So it's really, really cool gag here. And so here he's kind of like the giraffe is kind of chasing him down, and it was kind of pretty funny because when he first appeared, a lot of the audience in my screening was laughing, and everyone knows him as Mr. Bean. So really, really good laughs overall. And so the story is pretty predictable. Toward the end, the cartel was arrested, was thwarted. The police chief was thwarted and arrested. And so at the heart of the movie is kind of like Wonka's dream to create this factory because his mother made him, because his mother was such an intricate part of his young life to try to dream to make it in the world as a chocolatier. And so very heartwarming at the very near the end of the movie where it was said in the beginning, like earlier part of the movie, where Wonka was kind of frustrated and really sad that his mother didn't appear in his when he first created the Chocolate Factory 1.0. And so at the end, he kind of learned a life lesson when he opened the bar that was given to him by his mother. That it's better, it's not the ingredient of the chocolate. It's the feeling. It's the feeling of being shared the chocolate with others. That's the feeling. It's the feeling of love, the feeling of empathy and compassion. That's what really drew the chocolate to being so good. And so I think that's where kind of Wonka kind of gets that kind of golden heart type of feeling that he has, and also why you kind of explains as to why he really gravitated toward Charlie in the original movie. And so this is a very touching scene at the end where he finally sees his mom, and he's able to share the chocolate with his mates, and then she was able to kind of share it with him. So really touching scene at the end. And that's kind of like near where the movie ended overall. So overall, I think that the movie, like I said, it was really, really good movie. It was just really well done in terms of its delivery, in terms of overall kind of feel good moments. And again, if you want to see it in terms of being a feel good movie, a nice movie to take your kids or take a niece or any children, it's definitely worth watching overall. So those are my thoughts about Wonka, and I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you like more of what we do, please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this, and we will see you in the next video. All right, take care, guys. Have a good one.